The war in Ukraine is a global turning point. It marks the return of the large-scale land war to Europe. The conflict has shattered the post-Cold War peace. It has revived old fears of nuclear escalation. The world is watching closely. The conflict's outcome will reshape global politics for decades to come. This is not just a regional conflict. The invasion of Ukraine has challenged fundamental principles of international law. It has undermined the sovereignty of nations. The conflict has triggered a humanitarian crisis. Millions have been displaced from their homes. The war's economic effects are felt worldwide. Energy prices have soared. Supply chains have been disrupted. The conflict has exposed the fragility of global institutions. The United Nations has been unable to stop the fighting. The Security Council remains paralyzed by vetoes. This has eroded trust in the international order. It has raised questions about the effectiveness of global governance. The stakes could not be higher. The outcome of this conflict will determine the future of Europe. It will also shape the balance of power in the 21st century. We must understand the forces at play. We must engage in informed debate about the path forward. The future of our world depends on it. The Ukraine conflict has exposed deep divisions within the international community. Major powers have responded to the crisis in vastly different ways. These responses reflect their own strategic interests. They also highlight the shifting alliances in a multipolar world. The United States and its NATO allies have condemned the invasion. They have provided military and humanitarian aid to Ukraine. They have imposed severe economic sanctions on Russia. This response reflects a commitment to defending democratic values. It also aims to deter further Russian aggression. China has adopted a more ambiguous stance. It has refrained from condemning the invasion. It has called for a peaceful resolution. At the same time, China has deepened its economic ties with Russia. This suggests a desire to challenge the US-led world order. Other major powers have also charted their own courses. India has abstained from UN resolutions condemning Russia. It has continued to purchase Russian oil. This reflects India's long-standing ties with Moscow. It also highlights its focus on national interests. The conflict has underscored the emergence of a multipolar world. Power is no longer concentrated in the hands of a few states. This creates a more complex and unpredictable geopolitical landscape. It also presents both challenges and opportunities for international cooperation. Economic sanctions have become a central feature of the international response to the Ukraine conflict. The West has imposed unprecedented sanctions on Russia. These measures target key sectors of the Russian economy. They aim to cripple its ability to wage war. The sanctions have had a significant impact on the Russian economy. The ruble has plummeted in value. Inflation has soared. Access to international finance has been severely restricted. These economic woes are fueling social unrest in Russia. They are putting pressure on the Putin regime. However, sanctions are a blunt instrument. They often have unintended consequences. They can harm ordinary citizens. They can exacerbate existing inequalities. They can also drive targeted countries into closer alliances with adversaries. Moreover, the effectiveness of sanctions is debated. Russia has proven adept at mitigating their impact. It has found alternative markets for its energy exports. It has relied on its vast reserves of foreign currency. This suggests that sanctions alone are unlikely to force a change in Russian policy. Nevertheless, sanctions remain a powerful tool of international pressure. They signal global condemnation of Russia's actions. They impose costs on aggression. They can also serve as leverage in diplomatic negotiations. The long-term impact of sanctions on the Russian economy and its geopolitical ambitions remains to be seen. Amidst the devastation of war, diplomatic efforts to end the conflict in Ukraine have continued. These efforts have involved a complex web of actors. They have faced significant obstacles, yet the pursuit of dialogue remains crucial. It offers the only path to a lasting peace. Several rounds of negotiations between Russia and Ukraine have taken place. These talks have focused on key issues such as a ceasefire, humanitarian corridors, and the status of disputed territories. However, progress has been slow and fragile. Mistrust between the warring parties runs deep. International mediators have played a crucial role in facilitating dialogue. Turkey has hosted talks between Russian and Ukrainian officials. France and Germany have engaged in shuttle diplomacy. The United Nations has also been involved in efforts to secure humanitarian access and a cessation of hostilities. However, the diplomatic landscape remains challenging. Russia's maximalist demands and its continued military offensives have undermined trust in the negotiations. The involvement of multiple actors with competing interests has complicated efforts to find common ground. Despite these obstacles, diplomacy must remain a priority. The human cost of the conflict is immeasurable. The risks of escalation are too high. The international community must continue to support dialogue and seek a negotiated settlement. Peace in Ukraine is essential not only for the people of Ukraine but for global security and stability.